Once upon a time, there was a large, lush green forest where many animals lived. The forest was home to all kinds of wildlife. There was enough food and shelter for all the animals to live in harmony. There were so many families of animals, including rabbits, birds, squirrels, raccoons, and so many more, including a large group of foxes. One day, a fox was walking through the forest. All of a sudden, he heard a loud snap and knew instantly his tail had been caught in a trap. The fox was very upset as he tried to get his tail out of the trap. Finally, he pulled himself away from the trap, but it cut off his tail. The fox was very sad, and he had a very sore tail. The fox cried and thought he would be the laughingstock of all of the foxes. He had lost his beautiful fluffy tail, and whatever should he do now? He walked deeper into the forest until he had an idea. He decided to have a meeting with all his animal friends to discuss his idea. When everyone had gathered together, the fox started to speak. "Thank you for coming to hear me," said the fox. "The reason I have gathered you here today is to talk about why we have a tail. You see, we have eyes, ears, a nose, teeth, legs, all for some reason. But why a tail? A tail is such a useless thing. It seems to get in the way. People trip over it. It gets in the way when we sit down. So after much consideration, I have cut off my own tail, and I would like you all to do the same. I feel great now that I no longer have that useless tail." The lead fox and all the other animals were amazed at what the fox was saying. They all thought it would be quite painful and had never really thought of themselves without tails.
Wow.
All of a sudden, a younger fox asked, "Are you saying this because you no longer have a beautiful furry tail? Are you feeling embarrassed and just thinking about yourself? Maybe you are worried we might leave you out of our group of friends." The group of animals agreed that the fox without a tail was being selfish, and that it was very mean that he should ask them to cut off their tails too. He just wants us all to cut off our tails so he won't be embarrassed or left out. All the animals were quite upset with the fox without a tail, and they left him to think about what he had asked them to do. The lead fox reminded the other animals about how special their tails were and how they should always be proud of their tails. No one should cut off their tails. They all agreed. The fox without a tail was left to wander the forest alone, as his friends realized he was not a true friend. He had asked them to change, to make sure he would fit in with them. He should have accepted his difference, and his friends would have welcomed him, instead of being upset with the fox without a tail. The fox without a tail wandered for a long time and thought about his decision. He returned to his forest, and his friends forgave him. They accepted him just as he was. The fox without a tail was very happy to be back with his friends. The end. Once upon a time, there was a mother pig who told her 3 little pigs it was time for them to build their own home and move out. She told them to build their homes to be safe from the big bad wolf. The first little pig bought some straw and built his house. Soon enough, a wolf came along and knocked on his door. The wolf asked, little piggy, let me come in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," answered the little pig. "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down." And the wolf blew down the little piggy's straw house. The second little pig built a house made of sticks. Along came the wolf, who said, little piggy, let me come in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," said the little pig. "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," said the wolf. The wolf blew down the stick house. The third little piggy made a house of bricks. He built a very strong house. Soon enough, along came the wolf. He knocked on the pig's door and said, little piggy, let me come in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," said the pig. "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," said the wolf. So the wolf huffed and he puffed, but he could not blow down the strong brick house. The wolf sat down and wondered how he could get that nice little pig outside the brick house. Then he had an idea. "Little pig," he called, "come with me to the farmer's turnip field. It is quite full of nice turnips. I will come for you at 6 o'clock tomorrow." "Okay," said the little pig. But the clever little pig got up at 5 o'clock and went to the turnip field and gathered all the turnips he could carry. He was back home at 6 when the wolf arrived. The wolf was very angry when he realized he had been tricked, but he did not show it. He had another plan. He thought of another idea to get the pig out of his house. The wolf invited the pig to the fair and said, "We can meet and go together at 3 o'clock sharp." The pig squealed, "Oh, I love fairs. I would love to go." The little pig slipped out early to the fair and had a wonderful time, playing games and eating cotton candy. He even bought a nice new barrel to collect his rainwater. On the way home from the fair, he saw the wolf coming up to meet him. The little pig climbed into his new barrel to hide. The barrel began to roll and rolled right past the wolf. The barrel scared the wolf, and he ran all the way home. After a while, the wolf went to tell the pig about the strange barrel that was rolling right towards him. The little pig laughed and said, "It was only a barrel," the little pig told him. "I was inside the barrel." The big bad wolf did not like to be laughed at, and he was tired of the little pig's tricks. He was also very hungry. He wanted to eat the little pig. "Little pig, I am tired of your tricks. The time has come to eat you up." It had been so easy to huff and puff and blow down the straw and stick houses, but he had to figure out what to do to get into this little pig's brick house. The big bad wolf looked up and saw the chimney for the fireplace. And then he jumped up on the roof and shouted down, little piggy, down the chimney I will come to get you and eat you up." The little piggy put a huge pot of boiling water over the fire just in time. The big bad wolf jumped into the chimney and fell all the way down, right into the pot of hot water. And that was the end of the big bad wolf. A long, long time ago, in Sherwood Forest, there lived two outlaws whose names were Robin Hood and Little John. They were the smartest, fastest, and best archers in the world. The prince of the land wanted them arrested and sent all of his men after them. But Robin Hood and Little John outsmarted Prince Jonathan's men and easily escaped. With their many disguises and amazing skills, Robin Hood and Little John stole the prince's jewels, his gold, and one time they even stole the prince's royal robe. To the people of Nottingham, Robin Hood and Little John were heroes. Whenever the sheriff came around to collect high taxes, Robin Hood somehow filled back up the villagers' pockets with coins. Once the sheriff even took a rabbit's family's last penny. Robin Hood heard about it and visited the mother rabbit with a bag of gold coins as a gift, so she could look after her whole family. Mother Rabbit thanked him as Robin Hood sped off to his hideout. Meanwhile, the beautiful Maid Marian was out for a walk with her friend when she noticed Robin Hood's wanted poster. She confided in her friend how much she loved Robin Hood. Her friend assured her they would be together someday. Meanwhile, Robin Hood had caught a glimpse of Maid Marian on her walk. Robin Hood told his friend Little John how much he loved Maid Marian. "She is so lovely," said Robin Hood. "Well, why don't you ask her to marry you?" said Little John. "What would she see in me? I am a wanted outlaw," said Robin Hood. Just then, their friend Friar Tuck joined them. "Someday you will be called a great hero," said Friar Tuck, "not an outlaw." Friar Tuck then told Robin about an archery tournament being held nearby. "Maid Marian has promised a kiss to the winner," Friar Tuck remarked. Robin Hood wore his best disguise yet and won the tournament. But it was a trap set by Prince Jonathan. As Maid Marian kissed Robin Hood, Prince Jonathan arrested him and sentenced him to death. "Please, no," Maid Marian pleaded with Prince Jonathan. She confessed her love, and she begged for Robin Hood's life to be spared. "Marian, my darling, I love you too," Robin Hood declared. Little John fought off the prince's men and saved Robin Hood. The sheriff of Nottingham fought them too, but they all managed to escape to Sherwood Forest. As they fled, Robin Hood asked Maid Marian to marry him. "I thought you would never ask," she happily replied. They spent a special night in the forest filled with fireflies. Robin Hood offered her a ring made from flowers to pledge his love. Back at the palace, the prince was very angry that they could not find Robin Hood. Prince Jonathan tripled the taxes and ordered the sheriff to throw anyone who could not pay in jail. Soon the jails were full. Robin Hood and Little John came up with a plan to let all the village prisoners out of jail. The plan worked. While the prisoners were all escaping, Robin Hood snuck to the castle and took every last bag of Prince Jonathan's gold and coins. Soon after, the real King Richard returned to Nottingham. The king was very upset at what he heard that Prince Jonathan and his men had done to the villagers. The king ordered Prince Jonathan and all of his men to prison. The very next day, the joyful wedding of Robin Hood and Maid Marian took place. As all of the friends gathered to celebrate their love, everyone knew Nottingham had returned to a happy and peaceful, loving town again. Once, there was a little farm with a pond full of geese and ducks. On a fine spring morning, a mother duck felt her eggs start to crack beneath her. One by one, all the eggs broke open, with each new baby duckling cuter than ever. Until the last egg broke open. The duckling did not look like the other cute little ducklings. He was gray and clumsy and way too big. The mother duck thought, "How big and clumsy this duckling is." But she loved him just as much as the other ducklings. The next day, the mother duck took her ducklings to meet the other farm animals. As soon as they entered the farmyard, the other animals started to call the gray duckling names. "Look at the ugly duckling," said a mean old goose. Soon, his own brothers and sisters were calling him names. They called him Ugly Duckling. This went on for days, and the ugly duckling decided to run far away. He ran deep into the field. He finally came upon a pond full of geese. It was nighttime, so he fell asleep in the tall grass surrounding the pond. In the morning, the ugly duckling was just about to meet the geese when they were scared by a hunter and his dogs. The ugly duckling stayed in the long grass and hid from the hunter and his scary dogs. When he was sure they were gone, he started to walk towards a cottage he could see. An old woman lived there with her prize hen and cat. The old woman let the ugly duckling stay because she thought she could fatten up the duck to sell him at the market. The prize hen and the cat were very rude to the ugly duckling, and besides, there was no water for him to swim on here. So the ugly duckling snuck away one night to find a lake. He found a nice lake, but none of the other birds spoke to him. They thought he was too ugly to bother with. One day, a beautiful flock of white birds with long necks flew overhead. The ugly duckling began to cry, but he had no idea why. It was getting colder, and soon all the other birds left the pond because winter was coming. The ugly duckling stayed and awoke one morning to find his feet frozen in the lake. A nice, kind farmer found the ugly duckling and saved him. He thought he would be a nice house pet for his children, so he brought the ugly duckling home. His wife and children were not very happy with the ugly duckling, and so the ugly duckling snuck away to find a new home. It was winter, and the ugly duckling found a spot on a pond's edge. He built a nest. He was safely hidden to snuggle away the whole winter. Finally, spring arrived, and the pond thawed. The ugly duckling spread his wings. He found his wings grew very strong during the winter. The ugly duckling landed gracefully on the lovely pond. Just as he landed, he noticed 3 snowy swans near the pond's shore. He felt the same way he had had the first time he saw them fly overhead. The ugly duckling slowly swam over to meet the swans. And then, as the ugly duckling swam, he noticed his own reflection. What do you think he saw? His own reflection was that of a beautiful white swan. You see, over the winter, the ugly gray duckling had grown into a beautiful, white, graceful swan. And he was the most beautiful bird of all. The new swans welcomed their new swan friend. The swans were so very nice to the ugly duckling, who was now a stunning white swan. The ugly duckling promised himself he would never forget the lessons he had learned as a young ugly duckling, as he lived happily ever after with his new family on the beautiful pond.